Welcome, everyone. We are so glad you're joining us today for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We have a pretty intense lineup today.
Oh, absolutely. So, to jump right in, today's stack of sources is incredibly unique.
Right. We're not looking at academic papers or like sterile case studies today,
No, not at all. We are diving into a source compilation titled Echoes of the Uncanny and Crimes of the Real.
which is just a great title, honestly.
It really is. And these are four distinct, intensely personal narratives.
Yeah, firsthand accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they straddle this really terrifying line between the supernatural, the unexplainable, and like very real world true crime.
It's the kind of stuff that just makes you question your own environment.
It really does. And that brings us to our mission for today, the golden rule for this deep dive.
Right. We're making a pact with you, the listener.
Yes, for every single story today, the two of us and you listening right now, we're going to do a mental exercise.
We want to put ourselves directly in the shoes of the storyteller.
Exactly. We want to explore exactly how you would feel and how you would react in that exact moment of terror or shock.
Because it's easy to judge from the outside,
Yeah.
right? To say, oh, I would have just run away.
Oh, totally. But when you are in it, when your brain is glitching, it's a whole different game.
Yeah, the mechanics of terror are super complex.
Mm.
So our blueprint today is chronological through these four stories,
Right, starting with a childhood haunting in Hungary,
then moving to a battlefield ghost in Vietnam,
then a technological glitch that saved a life in Florida.
and finally, a neighborhood true crime horror story in New Jersey.
It is a wild ride. So let's just get into section one, the Hungary house.
Let's do it.
So this first story comes from a user named Nthat. And the setting here is crucial.
Right, it's the early 1990s.
Yeah, post-Soviet dissolution, Hungary has just opened up.
The borders are open for Western corporations, so you have this influx of expats.
Exactly. And our storyteller's family moves from the UK to Budapest because the dad's company is expanding.
A pretty standard expat setup. But they move into this massive mansion.
Right. And the narrator, who is only about 5 or 6 years old at the time, they note that this massive mansion was suspiciously cheap.
Which, is always the first red flag in these stories.
Oh, for sure. But think about it from the parents' perspective.
Right, the normalcy bias kicks in.
Yeah, they were like, well, the country just left communist rule, the market is depressed, we just scored an amazing deal.
You don't look at a cheap house and think, oh, it must be full of demons. You think you're a savvy investor.
Exactly. So they move in, and the kids get enrolled in an American International Christian school.
I love the detail the narrator adds here about the school.
Oh my gosh, me too. They said they found the Bible stuff completely boring, but they loved the school because the pizza and burgers were so cheap.
It just perfectly grounds the story in the mind of a kindergartner.
Right. Like, you don't care about the fall of the Iron Curtain. You just want cheap pizza.
Yeah, it establishes this baseline of innocence before things go completely off the rails.
And they really do. So the narrator shares this huge upstairs bedroom with their sister.
The beds are pushed against opposite walls.
Yeah. And one night, the narrator, the 5-year-old, wakes up in the pitch black.
Just needs a glass of water, right? Super normal.
Completely normal, but they look across the dark room toward their sister's bed.
And this is where the empathy exercise comes in.
Mm.
Imagine being in that bed.
Yes. Put yourself there. You're 6, it's dark, you look over, and you see your sister's shadowy silhouette just sitting bolt upright in the bed.
Which is weird, but your brain initially tries to rationalize it. She's just sitting up.
Right. But then the shadow aggressively slams back down onto the mattress.
Not like a sleepy tossing and turning kind of shifting.
No, like a forceful, violent slam, so hard that the bed squeaks loudly.
And before the kid can even say anything, it happens again.
Up, down, just this violent rhythmic slamming.
The force of it is literally shaking the bed.
Okay, so let's pause here. If you are that kid lying in the dark, how do you feel?
I mean, it's the ultimate betrayal of your safe space.
Exactly. Your sibling's bed is supposed to be the backup safe zone if you have a nightmare.
But suddenly that anchor of safety is hosting the nightmare.
You're paralyzed. The narrator says they just lay there, suffocating in their own fear.
That's the evolutionary freeze response. When a predator is near, a kid's nervous system just shuts down their motor functions to keep them hidden.
It's terrifying. But then, and this is the worst part, the movement stops.
The shadow sits up one last time and just stays completely rigid.
And the head slowly turns and locks directly onto the narrator.
Oh, man. The realization of being perceived by whatever that is.
It reveals this blacked out, featureless face, just staring at them across the room.
So what does the kid do?
Well, they squeeze their eyes shut at first, but the fear is so suffocating, the adrenaline spikes, and they feel like they're going to die if they don't do something.
So they break the freeze response.
Yeah, they burst out of the covers and sprint directly at the shadow.
Which takes unbelievable courage for a 6-year-old.
Right, I would have just passed out. But the second they reach the bed, the shadow is gone, like mist.
And the sister?
Fast asleep, perfectly fine. The kid shakes her awake, completely hysterical.
And the sister just laughs it off, right?
Yeah, she's annoyed and says she doesn't believe in ghosts.
Which is so isolating for the narrator.
Totally. And the parents are even worse. They blame it on sci-fi and horror movies.
Well, parents naturally want to rationalize the supernatural into neat psychological boxes.
Because if you admit there's a monster, you're admitting you can't protect your kids.
Exactly. It's a defense mechanism for the adults.
But the rationalization completely fails when the trauma starts taking a physical toll.
Right, the escalation here is wild.
Yeah. A few weeks later, the mom screams bloody murder early in the morning.
Because she finds the narrator sleepwalking.
Well, the doctor diagnosed it as somnambulism, but this wasn't normal sleepwalking.
No, the kid was hanging upside down from the second-floor staircase banister, like a bat.
Over a deadly drop. The dad literally had to lunge and catch them by the ankles before they plummeted.
How do you even explain that medically?
You can't. Sleepwalkers just walk to the kitchen. They don't perform Cirque du Soleil balancing acts while unconscious.
The parents blame stress from the move, but it keeps happening. The kid keeps waking up, hanging upside down from things.
So finally, the religious parents hit a wall and call in a Catholic priest.
Which is a huge shift, moving from psychology to spirituality.
Yeah. The priest spends an hour in the kid's room, muttering in Latin.
Does he find anything up there?
Not in the room. But when he goes downstairs, directly below the bedroom, that's when he looks terrified.
He stares up at the ceiling.
He whispers something to the parents, and they are so spooked they literally pack their bags and flee to a hotel that same day.
Right. They refuse to spend another night there.
Right. And the next morning, they send construction workers in to tear down the ceiling.
And this is the big reveal. What was up there?
Inside a hidden trapdoor in the ceiling joists, they find a bag of animal bones. Probably chicken. Oh, that's horrific.
And hanging next to it, by a thin thread, is a small doll made entirely out of those same bones.
A bone doll.
Yes. But here's the detail that makes your stomach drop. The doll was hanging completely upside down.
Wow, so it was a physical manifestation of a curse.
The mirroring is undeniable. The doll hangs upside down. The kid hangs upside down.
It's sympathetic magic. The idea that whatever you do to an effigy happens to the victim.
So, empathy check for the listener. If you hired contractors, they ripped open your ceiling, and you found an upside-down bone doll right under your child's bed.
I mean, I'm never setting foot in that zip code again.
Exactly. How fast are you packing your bags? They moved back to the UK a year later.
It's just a terrifying example of a malevolent parasitic attachment.
It really is. But it actually provides a perfect thematic transition to our second story.
Because while the Hungry House had a malevolent entity, sometimes the unexplainable actually steps in to save us.
Exactly. We are shifting from a creepy house to a literal combat zone.
This next story comes from user Analyst, and it's about the storyteller's father during the 1960s in the Vietnam War.
Right. The dad was an American soldier working with 5 CIDG strikers.
Basically, South Vietnamese villagers who were recruited by U.S. forces.
They knew the jungle terrain better than anyone.
So their mission is to plant seismic ground sensors deep in the jungle.
Which means they are deep in hostile territory, high stress.
The dad and 2 of the strikers split off to watch a trail intersection.
Just guarding the flank while the others plant the sensors.
And the dad describes the environment as eerily quiet. Sweltering heat, bugs buzzing, maybe a monkey in the canopy.
Just absolute sensory deprivation combined with hypervigilance.
Right. They sit completely motionless for 3 to 4 hours.
That takes a massive psychological toll.
So finally, it's time to move. The dad steps up to check the trail one last time.
And this is where the reality shift happens.
He looks down the trail, and lying in the brush is a soldier.
But not a North Vietnamese soldier.
No, it's a light-skinned black Union cavalry soldier from the American Civil War.
Wearing a full blue uniform in the middle of the 1960s Vietnamese jungle.
I mean, it's just a total timeline glitch. And the dad notes the specific gear.
This is a crucial detail. What was the ghost carrying?
2 pistols, a Spencer repeating rifle, and a short curved club on his hip.
Very specific armaments.
Very. And the ghost looks directly at the dad. and smiles.
Just a silent interaction.
He puts a finger to his lips like shh and motions urgently for the dad to step back off the trail and hide.
Okay, listener, put yourself in this high-stress combat zone.
Yes. You are exhausted, dehydrated, staring at a ghost. Do you trust it?
Your rational brain is screaming that you're hallucinating from the heat.
If you trust a hallucination, you might compromise your unit. But if you ignore it,
It's an impossible choice. What goes through your mind?
the dad chooses to trust it. He motions his men back, and they hide in the brush.
And thank God he did.
Because less than 10 seconds later, 70 to 80 NVA soldiers walked directly through that intersection.
Just 30 feet away from where they were about to step out.
And they were heavily armed. Automatic rifles, machine guns, RPGs.
If that hallucination hadn't warned him, his three-man squad would have been instantly wiped out.
Absolute certain death. So they stay hidden, the patrol passes, and they survive.
But how do you even process that?
You can't. Could you hold that secret in? Who would even believe you if you told them?
You'd be pulled off the line for a psych evil immediately.
Exactly. So the dad keeps it a secret for years.
Until the 1970s, right?
Right. He finally tells his grandmother on her deathbed.
And her reaction is what grounds the whole story.
She doesn't call him crazy. She just smiles with her eyes closed and says, "You saw Old Red Tom."
Old Red Dog!
Yeah. The expert lineage reveal here is amazing. Old Red Tom was the dad's great-great-grandfather.
A half-black, half-Creek Native American free man.
He was a Union Army scout, and the grandmother confirms he carried exactly those weapons.
2 pistols, a Spencer rifle, and the traditional Creek war club.
So it wasn't a random ghost, it was an ancestral guardian.
I love this concept. The trauma of war, bridging a century-wide gap between 2 soldiers in the same bloodline.
It's a face you can kind of recognize, you know? A family guardian looking out for his great-great-grandson.
It's beautiful in a terrifying way.
But it raises a really wild question, which leads us to our third story.
Right, because Red Tom was a recognizable ancestor.
But what happens when the warning comes from a completely faceless technological glitch?
When the ghost is literally in the machine.
Exactly. This story comes from a user named SuperDoug.
And we have to set the stage here with some 1990s tech context.
Yes, pre-cell phone era. The narrator is an on-call audiovisual tech.
So their entire professional life is tethered to a pager on their belt.
Right, and they are driving from Orlando to St. Petersburg on Interstate 4.
Just cruising down the highway.
Suddenly their pager goes off. It's an unknown number, but it has a 911 added to the end.
Which is the universal pager code for call immediately. This is a life or death emergency.
The narrator says they almost never get 911 pages, so they take it super seriously.
They immediately pull off at the next exit in Plant City.
Yeah, and they pull into this mostly empty truck stop.
They grab some quarters from the cashier and go to a bank of 4 payphones on the wall.
They drop a quarter in and dial the unfamiliar number.
Yeah. It just rings and rings.
Which is super frustrating when it's supposed to be an emergency.
Right, you'd think someone would be waiting by the phone.
But as the phone is ringing in their ear, the narrator suddenly hears another phone ringing.
Out loud, in the actual truck stop.
Yeah. They pull the handset away from their ear, 2 phones down on the wall. One of the other payphones is actively ringing with an incoming call.
Okay, that is Twilight Zone level weird.
Totally. The narrator hangs up their phone.
Yeah.
And the exact second they hang up, the ringing on the other payphone stops.
Dead silence.
So they walk over to the phone that was just ringing.
They check the number printed above the buttons, right?
Yes. And the reveal here is insane. The phone number of the payphone is the exact number that was just displayed on their pager, minus the 911.
Okay, I have to jump in here. The payphone literally paged itself.
Yes. Let's just stop the narrative cold for a second.
Imagine this. You are alone in a truck stop.
You call a number, and the phone next to you rings.
The sheer hair-raising terror of that paradox.
It's mathematically technically impossible. The clerk confirms the narrator has been the only person in the store for an hour.
There was no one physically there to punch in the page.
If this happened to me, I would have sprinted to my car without looking back.
Oh, 100%. The narrator's totally freaked out and just gets back on the road.
But the detour took about 15 minutes. Pulling over, getting changed, the weird call, talking to the clerk.
That 15 minutes is the key to the whole event.
Because they get back on I-4, drive for about 10 miles, and then hit a scene that looks like a bomb went off.
A massive, catastrophic accident.
A 4-car pileup. The center of it is a tractor trailer that was hauling loose steel.
The load snapped and steel just obliterated the cars around it.
Troopers and paramedics were literally just arriving.
The concept here is synchronicity, or a literal glitch in reality.
Right. Because of that 15-minute detour at the payphone, it acted as a temporal buffer.
If that impossible phantom page hadn't forced them to pull over,
They would have been right in the exact middle of that fatal pileup.
a faceless system actively manipulated reality to save their life.
It's amazing. But it also leads us to our final transition today.
I'll take the reins for this one. Because we've dealt with curses in Hungary, ghosts in Vietnam, and guardian angels in the telecom grid.
But this final story proves something deeply unsettling.
Right. It proves that the most terrifying things in the world aren't supernatural at all.
They aren't ghosts or glitches.
They are the real-world monsters living right in our own backyards.
This last story comes from user Bob Amshell, and it is a neighborhood true crime horror story.
Let's start with the innocent perspective.
Picture a 7 or 8-year-old bookish, nerdy little girl.
Just daydreaming on her backyard swing set.
The ultimate picture of suburban safety, right?
Exactly. But the neighbor whose yard backs up to hers is a bit of a problem.
He's a hoarder. His yard is full of junk. And one day, while she's swinging, he aggressively yells through the wooden fence.
Just barks at a little girl. Seen enough.
So aggressive and paranoid. Eventually, the girl's family moves away.
But 10 years later, she's doing some research and finds an archived article from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Written by Wendy Ruderman, dated December 18th, 2005.
And she realizes, reading this article, exactly what was happening just 15 feet away from her childhood swing.
The facts in this article are chilling.
It takes place in West Deptford, New Jersey. The neighbor's name was Jerome L. Wigmore, Jr.
The neighborhood called him Psycho Jerry, or the Menace.
He was a 36-year-old drywall contractor.
Huh.
And just to be clear, we are reporting the facts directly from the source article here, impartially.
Right. The article explicitly notes he was radicalized as a white supremacist.
He had swastika tattoos, rode a dirt bike with a 666 license plate.
Just outwardly radiating toxic, aggressive behavior to the whole neighborhood.
He lived there with his wife, Betty, and his 75-year-old mother-in-law, Alice Boozer.
Who he was violently abusive toward. The article mentions he headbutted his mother-in-law, giving her a black eye.
But the true horror was in the backyard.
He had a flatbed truck drop off a massive steel cargo shipping container right in the middle of his junk-filled yard.
Neighbors just assumed it was a tool shed for his drywall business.
But he rigged this steel box with AC units. He built a secret back compartment with a raised bed.
And he guarded it with an aggressive pit bull named Snow.
It was a custom-built prison. Psycho Jerry was kidnapping black women off the streets of Camden, New Jersey.
Taking them across the bridge and imprisoning them in this box.
He tortured them. The police reports say he punched victims and even used a blowtorch to severely burn one woman.
It's an actual chamber of horrors in a residential suburb.
And the most surreal, bizarre part of this is how the neighborhood interacted with it.
The banality of evil here is staggering.
Let's talk about the mother-in-law, Alice Boozer. She saw him dragging women into the container.
But she rationalized it. She told police she thought they were just crack whores going in there to get high with him.
She watched human beings being imprisoned, and she just continued feeding her squirrels nearby in the yard.
It's nauseating cognitive dissonance.
But it wasn't just her. Jerry rigged up security cameras that accidentally broadcasted a live feed of his yard to the entire neighborhood.
On Channel 14.
Yes. The neighbors, like Kenneth Kuhn, would just tune in to Channel 14 and watch it like reality TV.
Assuming it was just a drugged-in. Nobody intervened for months.
Even when victims managed to escape, neighbors like Lori and Lope saw half-dressed women running away screaming in the middle of the night.
Screaming that he was trying to sick the dog on them.
Kenneth Kuhn found a victim's underwear dropped in his driveway while she was fleeing.
And what did he do?
He literally used a stick to pick it up and toss it back over Jerry's fence.
It is the ultimate catastrophic failure of the bystander effect.
It finally ended on October 27th when a SWAT team raided the container.
And ironically, they were only there for a drug warrant. They had no idea about the kidnappings until they cut the padlock.
They found a 27-year-old woman inside who'd been held captive for 2 weeks.
And to make it even more infuriating, the mother-in-law bailed him out for $75,000.
She used her house as collateral because he threatened her daughter from jail.
It's just layer upon layer of madness.
So, listeners, we have to bring this back to the empathy exercise.
Put yourself back on that swing set.
You are an 8-year-old girl swinging in the sunshine.
You think you are completely safe.
And exactly 15 feet away, hidden in a gray metal box, is an active chamber of horrors.
Imagine the profound psychological whiplash of discovering that retroactively.
To realize your childhood's safety was a complete illusion.
That the only thing separating you from a monster was a few wooden fence slats.
It's devastating, and it really forces us to synthesize everything we've talked about in this deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We really have. From a bone doll in the floorboards to a Civil War ghost.
To a phantom pager on I-4.
To a literal chamber of horrors in a suburban backyard.
They're also different, but they share one core thread.
The veil between our safe, mundane reality and absolute terrifying chaos is razor thin.
It can be punctured at any moment.
So, as you go about your life, I want to remind you of something.
Whether it's a feeling of dread in a new house,
Or the nagging instinct to pull over at a truck stop.
our environments are constantly communicating with us in ways we don't fully understand.
Trust your gut. Don't let normalcy bias talk you out of your own safety.
And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to ponder long after the audio stops today.
Lay it on us.
We spend so much time fearing the supernatural, right? Shadows in the corner, the ghosts in the jungle.
But when you compare the hanging bone doll in Hungary to what Psycho Jerry deliberately built in his backyard.
Isn't it obvious that the most terrifying entities on this plane of existence aren't spirits at all?
They're the people living right next door.
Ex-
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us on this intense deep dive today. We wish you safety and remind you to always trust your instincts out there in the real world.